So I would like to take this opportunity to speak a little about the divine feminine, a female bodhisattva named in Chinese Kuan Yin. Like the Virgin Mary, Kuan Yin is among the most popular objects of devotion and prayers since she's the mother. Mothers lovingly reach down to their children and are not concerned so much with the child's merits or deficiencies. So naturally, children run to their mother when they have pains, when they have problems. Any child, they look to their mother. So this is the female deity is the mother, the spiritual mother for us all, and that's why people everywhere pray to the feminine, the divine feminine. Here we have Tara. In Tibet, there are many female Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, of which the most popular is Tara. This is white Tara here. She appears in 21 aspects, but the most common is the green Tara and white Tara. Green Tara represents her fearless compassion, like a mother guarding her children. And white Tara is invoked for healing and long life. All Tibetans, both monastic and lay, know her ritual praises and undertake her practice. People are devoted to Tara because she's so immediate in her response. Our nuns perform an hour-long ritual to Tara every morning. And in Buddhism, also wisdom is symbolized by a female deity named Prajnaparamita, or the perfection of wisdom. In Tibetan, she's called the Great Mother, since all Buddhas are born of wisdom. So women are not only more in touch with profound feelings of compassion and love, but also represent pure intelligence and insight. A major Dharma protector also is called Padma Lama or Sri Devi, who is black and very fierce, and she rides a mule. Other important deities in the Tibetan pantheon include Vajrayogini, who is the queen of these dakinis, and whose visualization plays an important part in tantric yoga. So these male yogis visualize themselves as Vajrayogini, who is naked, so she's very obviously female, and she's adorned with bone ornaments, and that's part of their yogic practice. When they practice the inner heat meditations, they see themselves as a female. So originally in the Hindu tradition, dakinis were part of the retinue of Kali, who is the fierce consort of Shiva. So they were regarded almost as being almost demonic, and their nature was definitely ambiguous. They could be threatening for those who didn't understand their role. So I thought I'd tell you a little story about dakinis. Our nuns performed dakini dances. And at one time we were invited by a Hindu friend in this small town, Hindu town of Mandi. He was having a big gathering, and so he wanted our nuns to come and do their dakini dance. So there's one version of this has five nuns representing 5 wisdom dakinis. So they arrived in Mandi, which is several hours away from our nunnery, and they had to put on an elaborate costume, which took a lot of time. And then because there was not much time before the performance, they didn't have time to make these tormas, these ritual cakes made with barley grain, with sampa. So they had no time to make those. And usually they have to make the tormas, these made of barley grain, and paint them the 5 different colors, red, white, yellow, green, and blue, and put them at the 5 different 4 corners and 1 in the middle. But they had no time for that. So they said, well, it doesn't matter, never mind. We have these silk scarves of the different colors, so we'll put those. Nobody will notice the tormas are not there. So in the meantime, the Hindu pujari, the ritual master, who's in charge of all the rituals, he had put coconuts, dried coconuts on the 4 corners. And so when the nuns came in sounding their double-edged damaru drums and started dancing, all the coconuts spontaneously burst open. And so then everybody thought, wow, that's amazing, you know. And So then they thought, this really is very auspicious. And the Pujari said, yeah, it just shows yoginis are above the gods. So we thought, well, that's fantastic. The nuns come in and all the coconuts burst. That's great. But then a few weeks later, I went back to meet my friend again in Monday, and he said that in the days following that event, there were so many minor mishaps and problems happening in this house that he felt that the Devi, the local goddess, was not happy. He was not pleased. In this area, apart from the great gods like Lakshmi and Saraswati and Shiva and Krishna and so forth, every village has their little local gods or goddesses, the Devis. And so in his house, he had a big room, a puja room, just for his Devi, who every day they dressed in a different color sari and whom they fed and whom they were very devoted to. So he thought, he has this, he brought in a man called Nitu, who channels this goddess, and he asked what was the problem. So the Devi explained that the problem was that when those nuns were invited and they danced to summon the Devis, the goddesses, to come, then the goddesses came, but there were no offerings. So therefore they were very displeased. And to show their displeasure, they split the coconuts. So these local goddesses are worldly beings. They're not spiritual beings. So the point is that Nitu, the channelist, he didn't know. In fact, nobody knew that those nuns had not offered what they should have offered, which were these ritual cakes. Nobody recognized that that's what they hadn't done. So then my friend, he performed pujas to placate the Devi. So the point is, I said to the nuns, you should be very careful, because if you summon these beings, they will come. And so you have to do everything very carefully so that they will be pleased, because they are very worldly beings. They are easily offended and they can cause harm. If you please them, they will help you in a worldly way. If you don't please them, they cause trouble. Wisdom deities are something quite different. They would never retaliate. They don't care if you offer or you don't offer. They are beyond that. They are super mundane. But these worldly deities are very touchy. And so you have to be careful with them. If you please them, they help you. If you don't please them, they're not happy. So the point of all these rituals, which is performed in India and in Tibet, is that when we summon these beings, worldly beings and super mundane beings, they come. And therefore we have to be very careful with our rituals and think in our minds during the rituals in order to create the benefits necessary for these rituals. Rituals not just for ourselves, but for the environment, for the people in the village, for the people in the locality, for people all around the world, and for all sentient beings. If we wish for this to be of real benefit, we have to be very careful what we're thinking and how we perform these rituals perfectly. So these dakinis are very active. That's the thing with the dakinis. They're active and dynamic, and if they have a task to do, provided they think it's the right task, they can be very helpful and beneficial.
Jetsunma, you have 2 minutes.
Okay, I'm finishing. In order to create a balance in spiritual energies, there is a need for the divine feminine presence, which is felt even in many male-dominated societies. Of course, it's important to remember whether we talk about divine masculine or the divine feminine, our actual divinity is beyond gender. Our genuine nature, the primordial nature of our non-dual awareness, is neither male or female. When we are sitting in meditation, we are not male or female, we're just meditators. In tantric sadhanas, men can visualize themselves in feminine form. Females can see themselves as male deities, but that is still at the level of conventional reality. our true nature transcends all notion of gender. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have 2 questions. Jill Gutman asks, I am plagued by I shoulds. I meditate daily. I'm on the Buddhist path. How can I give compassion to myself in regards to the shoulds and critiques? Gratitude.
Well, I mean, the Buddha, right from the start, said that we should practice loving kindness and compassion, starting first with ourselves, which means that we should practice wishing well to ourselves, forgiving ourselves, accepting our faults, and encouraging our good points. So we should be gentle with ourselves. We should be kind to ourselves. It's not a matter of forcing ourselves to do anything. Perhaps when she's doing her practice, she's doing too much. You know, she feels she should be doing an hour a day or 2 hours a day. And then there's a sense of pushing to beyond what feels comfortable. Because if we do something which we enjoy doing, then we don't have to force ourselves to do it. It's not a matter of should, it's a matter of want to. So maybe she should look at herself, send herself loving kindness, compassion, as well as sending to others, of course. And at the same time, really look and see in her practice, is she doing what really speaks to her to do? Because if we do something we enjoy, we don't have to force ourselves. It's not a matter of having to do it because, you know, we have to do it, but because we want to do it. So I would say, you know, be gentle with yourself, give yourself compassion, kindness, forgive yourself, accept yourself, and look to see your practice is something which really speaks to your heart.
Thank you so much. I think we have time for one more question. Hoda asks, the divine feminine within us, how to call for her throughout the day in various circumstances.
Well, in the Tibetan tradition, they do this by what is called having the pride of the deity, which is that you see yourself as the deity. Or you can see the feminine inside you in whatever form she appears to you, you know, depending on your spiritual orientation. Visualize her sitting in the center of your heart, the heart chakra, at the center of your chest, and just see her there. And so then when anything occurs, you can, you know, you're not thinking from your own heart, but her mind, your mind, her mind are the same. That's the point. So like with Tara, if one was doing a Tara practice, the important thing is to recognize we are Tara. She's representing our true nature. And therefore, as she sits in the center of our being, it reminds us that our essential nature is Tara. She's always there. So if anything comes up which is challenging, we can think, how would Tara deal with that?
Thank you. We may have time for one more question. Carla asks, what advice can you give to Vajrayana women practitioners in order to enhance the female aspects?
Well, I mean, Vajrayana on the whole is although it was most of the texts were written by the boys, in fact, it's a very female-orientated practices. And so, you know, you see yourself as the deity. So if you see yourself as a feminine deity, then you are taking on the qualities of that deity. And so even men, I mean, male practitioners also do a lot of practice in which they see themselves in a feminine form, and which is very good for them because it encourages the feminine within them. I mean, if we are very, you know, very nervous and frightened and worried type of person, then it might be better to see yourself as a male deity. But Vajrayana is very open to the feminine divine, and of all the religions, probably Vajrayana is the closest in recognizing that the male and the female together are inwardly balanced within us. But as I say, at the same time, the nature of the mind is neither male nor female. We are when we recognize our true innate nature, it transcends any thoughts of male or female. I mean, one of the greatest yoginis, you know, even today, some of the best practitioners in Tibet are the women. The ceiling, as far as practice is concerned, is much more transparent for male or female. So there are many very, very great female practitioners, even today.